When I analyze China's foreign policy today, there is one relationship that stands out, not because it is succeeding, but because it is unraveling in ways Beijing never expected. I'm talking about China and Pakistan, often described as iron brothers or all-weather friends. These phrases were repeated so often in diplomatic circles that they sounded unbreakable. But as I look at the facts today, it is clear that this relationship has become more complicated, more fragile, and far less beneficial for China than it once appeared. In fact, Pakistan is steadily turning into a liability for Beijing. To understand how we reached this point, we have to start with the promise of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or CPEC. Back in 2015, this project was announced with great fanfare. It was supposed to be the crown jewel of China's Belt and Road Initiative, a $62 billion program designed to transform Pakistan's economy and secure China's energy future. On paper, it made perfect sense. China needed an alternative route to the Arabian Sea to avoid dependence on the Strait of Malacca, which could be blocked in a conflict. Pakistan, with its deep water port at Gwadar and its desperate need for infrastructure investment, was an ideal partner. For Islamabad, it was the lifeline that would turn a struggling economy into an Asian tiger. For Beijing, it was the strategic key to the Indian Ocean. A win-win, or so they thought. But nearly a decade later, reality looks very different. Most of the promises remain unfulfilled. Gwadar Port, which was marketed as the next Dubai, is almost deserted. The roads are incomplete, the railways never materialized, and the special economic zones are either empty or functioning far below capacity. Ordinary Pakistanis who were told that CPEC would bring jobs and prosperity are still waiting. And this disappointment has fueled resentment, not just against their own government, but against China as well. Why did this happen? One reason is security, or rather the lack of it. When China invested billions into Pakistan, it underestimated the level of violence that would target its interests. In Balochistan, local insurgents view CPEC as a tool of exploitation, and they have repeatedly attacked Chinese workers and facilities. In April 2022, a female suicide bomber killed 3 Chinese teachers in Karachi. In July 2021, 9 Chinese engineers were killed in a bus bombing near Dasu. These are not isolated incidents. They are part of a pattern. For a country like China, which prizes predictability and stability, this level of risk is unacceptable. Every attack forces Beijing to question whether its money and its people are safe in Pakistan. Then there is the economic side of the story, which is equally troubling. Pakistan is on the brink of bankruptcy. Its foreign exchange reserves barely cover a few weeks of imports. Inflation has surged past 25%, and the currency is in free fall. The government survives on emergency IMF loans and bailouts from friendly nations like Saudi Arabia and the UAE. In this environment, how can Pakistan honor its debt obligations to China? It can't, and Beijing knows it. Already, Pakistan has asked China to roll over billions in loans and extend repayment deadlines. What was meant to be a profitable strategic investment for China has turned into a financial burden. The numbers speak for themselves. Out of the $62 billion originally promised under CPEC, less than half has actually materialized, and even that has not produced the expected returns. Power plants financed by Chinese loans have pushed Pakistan into a debt trap, with annual repayments estimated at over $3 billion for the next few years. Islamabad simply doesn't have the cash. And this is a problem for Beijing because Pakistan is not just any partner. It was supposed to be the flagship of the Belt and Road Initiative, the shining example that China could show the world. Instead, CPEC has become a cautionary tale. Countries from Africa to Southeast Asia are now looking at Pakistan and asking, do we really want to end up in the same situation? And this is where the reputational risk comes in. The Belt and Road Initiative was never just about building ports and highways. It was about building influence. It was China's way of presenting itself as a global leader, a country that could offer an alternative to Western development models. But when the flagship project in Pakistan is stalled, over budget, and under attack, that image takes a hit. The world is watching, and the narrative is shifting from a bold vision to a debt-trap diplomacy disaster. Now let's talk about politics, because that is another reason why Pakistan is becoming a liability. To be blunt, Pakistan is unstable. Governments rise and fall in quick succession. The military calls the shots from behind the scenes, and policy continuity is almost non-existent. For a country like China, which plans decades ahead, this is a nightmare. Every time a new prime minister takes office in Islamabad, agreements have to be revisited, projects are delayed, and uncertainty grows. Add to this the growing anti-China sentiment among Pakistan's people, fueled by the perception that CPEC only benefits the elite, and you have a recipe for friction, and this friction has strategic consequences. For years, China believed it could count on Pakistan as a reliable counterweight to India, but today even that assumption is under strain. Pakistan's growing dependence on the IMF and Western institutions means it cannot afford to alienate the United States entirely. This creates a balancing act that limits China's leverage. For Beijing, that is a problem. Influence is the real currency in geopolitics, and in Pakistan, China is losing some of that influence. Now contrast this with India. While Pakistan struggles with debt, terrorism, and political chaos, India is emerging as one of the fastest growing economies in the world. Global companies are shifting supply chains to India. Western nations are signing defense and technology deals with New Delhi, and foreign investment is pouring in. For China, this is frustrating because the whole point of investing in Pakistan was to gain a strategic advantage over India. But the opposite is happening. India is rising, Pakistan is sinking, and China is stuck with a partner that drains resources without delivering returns. So what happens next? In my view, China will not abandon Pakistan completely. The geography is too important. Gwadar port still offers access to the Arabian Sea, and Pakistan's role as a military partner cannot be ignored. But the enthusiasm is gone. Future investments will come with tighter conditions, more security guarantees, and perhaps even less state funding. China will hedge its bets, diversifying its partnerships in South Asia. We may see Beijing courting countries like Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Bangladesh more aggressively, ironically even as Pakistan struggles to stay relevant. The bigger question is what this means for China's global ambitions. If Beijing cannot turn its closest ally into a success story, how can it convince the world that the Belt and Road Initiative is the future? This is why Pakistan's decline matters. It is not just a local issue. It is a global signal that China's strategy has limits. Money alone cannot buy stability. Geography alone cannot guarantee success. And when governance is weak, even the most ambitious plans can fall apart. So yes, when I say Pakistan is becoming a liability for China, I say it based on evidence, not emotion. This is not about friendship or loyalty. It is about hard strategy. And in strategy, a partner that consumes your resources, threatens your image, and exposes you to security risks is not an asset. It is a burden. The real question now is not whether China sees this reality. It does. The question is how long before Beijing changes its approach, and when it does, what will that mean for Pakistan, for South Asia, and for the balance of power in the years to come?